WisconsinEye's 2014 election coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice for Wisconsin hospitals, supporting high-quality, high-value care in communities like yours.
WisconsinEye coverage of the 2014 elections continues with an interview with Tiffany Koehler of Slinger. She's a Republican running in the 58th Assembly District. Tiffany, welcome to WisconsinEye.
Thank you.
And programming note, WisconsinEye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 139 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Tiffany, I am so intrigued by your biography. Let me get into it this way. It says, I'm just intrigued. Growing up, you had 19 different foster homes before you turned 18. What did that teach you about what state or local government can do well or not so well? So can you just get into your bio that way, please?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me here today.
Our pleasure.
And you know, my story is not all that unique, but I think that I have made decisions to bring me to this point because I've always been very interested in how the world operated. Even before I was born, I was an abomination. My mother was not married, and this is back in the 1970s, and coming from a mixed background, I wasn't embraced with open arms in my family. It took several years for my mother to gain custody of me, return custody. I was in a foster home from birth to 3, and then again from age 12 to 18, because she was ill and she couldn't take care of herself or me. Okay. What it taught me was that the community will step in. Government really didn't step in to help. It was the foster parents. It was people in the community that cared.
Okay. Well, how did that lead you, or is there any issue that brought you into this race in the 58th? Now, I know the legislator retired, so maybe that's a factor, but your top issues, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I entered the race because our legislator is retiring, and from what I hear, she did a great job. She was very engaged in the community, and you know, I come from the nonprofit background. I have nonprofit experience. I have always been an advocate for people that have special needs, our vulnerable communities, our children, people with mental health issues, and members of our armed forces when they return. And I was leaving one area because of a downsizing at work, and she announced her retirement, and I said, oh, you know, I can do that, I can represent. And I ran it past some of my friends, and they know I'm always talking and advocating for people. And as a person that pays taxes, that was a key issue. I think our government spends way too much, and they tax us way too much. Instead of, you know, like we have to make hard decisions at home and decide what we're going to buy and what we can't get. You know, we can't always get what we want. We can't go to our boss and ask for more money just because we want it. So I think we need someone that's going to protect Wisconsin and to defend you know, our American dream.
Is that the answer you give when you said, we were talking beforehand, you said you knock on some doors and people say, why aren't you a Democrat? Is that kind of the reason that you give then? Well,
right. I'm glad you asked, because it is an issue. A lot of people, they see conservatives and they think there's this prototype of a conservative. I am a very staunch conservative fiscally, okay. And I didn't grow up in a Republican household. I actually grew up in a Democrat household, like many of my friends who are now conservative. But you get to a point where our values don't align with what the liberal agenda is about. I'm very pro-life, and for their many issues, you know, I'm just tired of sending taxes off, you know, to pay for other people's.
Well, one of the, excuse me,
yes.
I don't want. One of the issues that we talk about first is public schools, and you've taken on your website just very definite stances. And reading from your website, Common Core has no place in Wisconsin public education system. Can you explain? Can you elaborate?
Sure. You know, this Common Core came from the federal government. Again, it's federal overreach into state rights. Our educational system needs to be designed, measured, implemented at the local level. I mean, we have great superintendents and curriculum directors throughout, the state of Wisconsin. And I know in District 58, we have really great schools. And we need to keep that. We can't be stripped away of what we're doing, right?
Okay. And you also, another issue that'll come up in the next vote in the next state budget, is the voucher issue, the school choice issue. You're also on your website. You say your right to decide where to send your child. So you're a staunch backer of choice and vouchers.
Absolutely. It's part of our freedom is to be able to choose where we send and educate our children. It's key to being an American and to being a Wisconsinite. I mean, if you're paying into a system, you may not want your child educated under a certain, type of building or curriculum, and it's real important for people, especially now, to have faith placed in education. Starting the day off at prayer with your fellow schoolmates and your teachers is really important.
Okay. I have a healthcare question. As you know, the federal government said to all states, not just Wisconsin, if you expand your MA benefits, offer healthcare to more poor, we'll pay for it the first few years. Governor Walker and the leaders of the Assembly and Senate said thanks, no thanks. Was that a wise decision?
Absolutely, it was a wise decision. Again, the federal government, they like to mandate things to the states, and then they pull out all support. And I think in the long term, and in the short term, we're seeing that it was the right decision. I mean, government really shouldn't be in the business of designing and providing our health care. Look at what's going on in the VA system. That was once a system that was thought to be, the gold standard in health care, and it's not. And I think long-term, Wisconsin made the right decision. We're better on our own, and that's one of our state's rights, is to be able to make decisions at the local level.
City of Milwaukee and the suburbs need, the whole state needs good highways. But you have a Zoo Freeway interchange that's going to cost $1.7 billion, and yet you have a projected deficit of $650 million in the next State Department of Transportation budget. Do we delay some of these major projects, or do we raise taxes? How would you fill that gap?
Well, absolutely. The Zoo Highway is a great example. We need to keep that expanded and moving because it is an economic engine in the Milwaukee area. I mean, people come up from Illinois through Minnesota. All the different states pass through there. And we need to keep it safe, and we need to keep it solid in traffic moving. I'm happy that this issue came up because I've been working really close with a bunch of constituents in my area, or potential constituents
in the 58th?
In the 58th district. For example, there's a project right now, 164. They want to expand it into four-way. The traffic doesn't meet the demand, but there's money that needs to be spent before the year's over, so they're like, hey, let's do this project, and it should be canceled. And we need to prioritize what we're spending our money on, just like we do at home. We have to make some tough decisions. Now, there are examples throughout the state where we need to be more proactive than reactive. I mean, our late President Ronald Reagan had said it best. It's not that government taxes too little, but it spends too much. And we just have to look at some of these projects. And the Secretary of our Transportation,
yes,
I think we need some more oversight with some of these departments because they get these huge budgets, and they have to make allocations out. But our local roads, I mean, there are roads in our area, in West Bend, in Richfield, in Salina, Jackson, that are really hurting. And I think that we need to be proactive and fix those roads. Sometimes you don't go out and buy a Cadillac. You get what you need to get you around. You don't need the huge project to
Sounds like
do
you're
that.
not ready to raise either the gas tax or what you and I pay for license plates.
Absolutely not. And that's the thing. Taxes, I'm not in support of raising taxes or, tricking anybody and sliding it under as a fee or a license. We already pay too much.
Okay. It's such a timely issue. I'm asking all candidates about this. Your reaction to Judge Crabb's ruling on same-sex marriages, Tiffany?
Well, I think that issue has really led Wisconsin into a tailspin. 72 counties really don't have clarity on what to do. We had made a decision in 2006, and the voters statewide voted, and we put in a Constitution amendment to protect the institution of marriage. And as a veteran, I am here to protect and defend our Constitution, both our state and our U.S. Constitution. And from what I can see in recent days with other states, it looks like the federal courts are getting involved and making decisions.
And we did vote in 2006, and you said we. It sounded like you voted for that constitutional amendment.
I did not vote for that Constitution amendment at that time.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Two candidates for the Attorney General say first offense drunken driving should be a crime. Do you have a position on that, ma'am?
You know, right now it's just a municipal ticket. And I think that I'm learning more about the issue, and you know, I put a call into MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driver, because I wanted to know about this issue, and I thank you for providing questions to us. I think we need to take a tougher stance in Wisconsin because drunk driving is it's a culture, drinking culture, and we can be responsible. I mean, there's great organizations, there's Uber, there's groups that will come and pick you up, you know, and I think we need to really take a look at that issue, and I'm open to hearing and making a decision that's going to keep Wisconsinites safe.
Issues being debated both in Washington and Madison, whether the minimum wage should be increased, should it?
I'm not in favor of that at all.
Okay.
I support the free market, and you know, we have a lot of great apprenticeships around the state, and people are looking for good candidates to fill those positions so they can train them to become electricians, plumbers. I mean, good paying jobs. I mean, there are some industries right in my district that pay $17.50 an hour starting off. Mm-hmm. Now there's requirements. You have to get up early, you have to show up for work, you have to want to do the job, but they're there. And I just said let the free market, you know, reward.
You've talked about your military service. Yeah, I think you spent 16 years in the military?
14.
14. What did it teach you in terms of life skills, Tiffany, just quickly?
Well, it's about staying focused on the mission. In serving. One of the Army values is to serve selflessly for others. You know, we're always at the bottom of the totem pole, but you say, here I am, send me. You know, you're ready to go to defend what you believe in, and that was the biggest thing. And I do have the time for this position. I am not going to be on the sidelines. I'm not going to be in back rooms. I'm going to be with my constituents, with the people that sent me to Madison, and I will make them proud. And I just hope I earn their vote. And I'm just going to continue to make my way around the district.
Finally, is there any differences between you and your primary opponents you want to highlight?
There are, and I took a clean campaign pledge, and I think the truth is going to come to light. And I would rather just stay focused on myself in this race. Okay. And I think my constituents and potential, I keep saying constituents because I already feel so close to so many people where it's like, you know, I'm from the community, so. Okay. But I think they'll bring all the truth to light.
Very good. Thank you. Tiffany Koehler of Slinger is a Republican candidate in the 58th Assembly District. The primary election is August 12th. Tiffany, thanks for visiting with WisconsinEye.
Thank you.
Thank you.